on today's Success or Excuses podcast, we have Val Duguid. Val, welcome to Success or Excuses. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, good morning. Thanks, James, for inviting me today. I'm really pleased to be here, obviously. So you've correctly pronounced my name, so we're off to a good start.
Tick.
Absolutely. Val Duguid. I now have a care business. 3 years ago, I would never have thought that I would be sitting here having had a care business. For 20 odd years before that, I had a business in providing complex rehab. So doing cancer rehabilitation before that was even a thing.
Yeah.
Cardiac rehab, diabetes, etc., etc. And 3 years ago, my mum had a near fatal accident. Life changed overnight. And then I was a full-time carer, and I realised I couldn't get the care for my mum that I needed. I phoned around a few care companies, a few individual people that were providing care. Seemed that I was asking for the impossible. And probably, I'm not saying it's a negative trait of mine, but I do like to solve puzzles and solve problems.
Entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur. That's the thing. Yes, I don't have any issues. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I set up my own care company. We set that up in August 22 and got our care inspectorate licence on or around last January. And it would appear that the service that I wanted for my mum, I wasn't alone. And thankfully, people are loving the service that we're offering. So...
what a great start-up story. Found yourself in a life-changing situation. You know, you're obviously a carer at heart, because your whole background, as you've just explained, is carer.
Absolutely.
You're caring for other people.
Yeah, there's a little clue there.
Helping other people, you know. So you've obviously got that in your bones, right?
Yeah.
So that there's part of you, that's your DNA. And then you've got this life-changing event, and you probably think to yourself, what happened, like overnight your life has just changed, and then you're trying to deal with it the best you can. This is what I've heard. You're trying to deal with it the best you can, and then all of a sudden you're like, I can't get the support I need. So I've got this problem, I need to find a solution. And because you couldn't find one, you created one.
Yep.
And that to me is... like, if I hear the amount of stories I've heard on this podcast, obviously not identical, but very similar situations. Something's happened, they've had a problem, they couldn't find a solution, so they've went out and created a solution. Mm-hmm. So well done you.
Thank you very much.
You. So on to the solution, right? So I want to talk about, because you've built the business quite quick. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about the early days, so the start-ups and the challenges and the getting the contracts. What was the early days like? Okay,
so we didn't have our care, so when I say we, I mean in Bentley's obviously. So Bentley's didn't have its care inspectorate licence. So what that actually means is you're then, I suppose, you're hampered as to legally what services you can offer clients. So Bentley's initially, we just did a befriending service. Mm-hmm. But it would mean that the person had to be well enough to be befriended and not require certain levels of personal care that you would be required to have a care inspectorate licence for. So the first year was really befriending clients, and thankfully, because I am well known for my previous 20 odd years of work, quite well known locally for chronic illness, being a chronic illness specialist, that's quite unusual. Mm-hmm. And I feel really fortunate to be the age that I am now to have that history, because it's only now getting talked about, and to have all that experience, that's great. However, I've just got totally. I've just totally lost my train of thought.
The early days, the setting up the business, the challenges, the befriend.
Exactly.
So befriender is basically almost like respite, isn't it, for somebody, for a carer. So you befriend, give them a bit of time to themselves.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and it's great for the family, but it's also great for the client. But what was great was, as I started to say before I went off track, so thanks, James.
I do it all the time, don't worry.
I know, I had a Billy Connolly moment there, but it was actually meant. It's a little bit of comedy thrown in. So the befriending really grew because I was so well known. Well, but what more importantly, I was trusted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So,
I was,
you already had the trust. So you had the
Absolutely.
no, you had the
Exactly.
like, and you had the trust.
Absolutely.
Right.
So thankfully,
So you were ahead of the game.
Absolutely. So I was trusted, and quite rightly, quite rightly. So thankfully, I was trusted. So probably 9 out of the 10 clients that we had as our befriending clients were either actual direct sort of inquiries to me from people that I'd already known in my previous career, or they had recommended me to somebody that they knew that was needing our service. So that was that. So, but it was, it was slow. We couldn't take on so many clients. Excuse me. So the startup days were challenging. So, when you think about what a startup means for someone, so where do you start? So in no particular order, it's it's coming up, and this isn't sort of in order of importance either. You've got to name the business. It's bank accounts, it's insurances, it's the legal aspects, it's accountants, it's solicitors, it's paperwork, it's admin. And sometimes you can be really good at something, so say a carer or whatever, but the business aspect of your business is totally different from the thing, from the
reason you were into the business.
Yeah, exactly, right? So the thing that you're really good at. But I had been self-employed for 20 odd years before that, so I came into this not a novice. But then a year later, so last year, I found myself employing people. And that is a whole other world.
Scary, innit?
Scary. That. Well, you've got to then step up.
Absolutely.
Because, there is a challenge of people have left jobs to come and work with us. People are putting their faith in us.
That again based on your reputation and people knowing.
Absolutely.
Aye. It's funny that, isn't it? When you're known, how people you're attracted to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose with Bentleys as well, you've then got clients and you've got families, and then all of a sudden you're responsible for so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a pausing moment, isn't it? The responsibility, and then if you break that down, the ability to respond. And I think you've got to accept that you're actually choosing to be responsible. And therefore, I suppose that then comes into this a leadership aspect.
Absolutely. And we're going to go there.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're with leadership management. I knew that was going to happen. But yeah, so you've got to really pause for a moment, I think, and just accept that you're accepting this role. And then you have to live with the fear, and then
you don't know everything. You're going to have to learn. I mean, that's the thing about being a business owner, isn't it? If you're not constantly learning, you're falling way behind. It's this constant learning process that you go through, isn't it?
Definitely. And maybe that's what stops people from getting into business, because they maybe think that they have to know everything before they're in it. But I think that there's a certain personality, well, there definitely is a certain personality type, there is a personality type that I'm just going to jump in and I'm just going to sort it out whilst I'm in the mess of it all. But it doesn't appear like a mess. But when I discuss that with friends who are not in business, it scares the bejesus out of them.
They don't get it. They don't understand it. Without being disrespectful, they have absolutely no idea. See the fears and the challenges you have as an employee, times that by 1,000. That's what it's like being a business owner.
It is.
Isn't it? Some nights, have you ever had the nights, right? Particularly in the early days. Maybe not the early days, our first couple of years was the sleepless nights. Stressful, but no. But see, once you get to the point where you have got employees, and the 1 or 2's all right, but see when you get to the kind of 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the 6 and the 7, I mean, there's 17 of us, right? And you get to a certain point, because you're growing all the time, and you're thinking, these people, I need to make sure this business is being led properly, is bringing in the right cash flow, Because these people have got mortgages and families, and that can be scary shit.
Absolutely.
And trying to speak to someone who is not in business about, I mean, we talked about this offline. I really don't have many friends, right? I don't. Because none of my previous friendship group have got a clue what it's like to be a business owner, right? There are a lot of them are self-employed, and I suppose it's slightly different. But all my what I would consider really close friends now are people I've met in business, because they think like me, they challenge me, and they understand when I'm saying, oh, you know, I'm up to my eyes, I'm going to have to work the weekend, mate. I can't really go out. You know, can we put that in the back burner for another month? They understand the line. Listen, I totally get it. Whereas family and friends don't. They just don't. They don't. Without putting them down in any way, shape or form, it's because they're no experiencing what you're experiencing. It's almost impossible for them to understand what it's actually like. Would you say that's fair?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what makes it lonely. And that's what you and I had sort of had that chat about, as you're saying offline. Yeah, the loneliness is palpable, you know, because you can't, or you don't, I mean, you could discuss your fears with your staff, but I think all you'd be doing then would be creating some sort of fear and doubt and instability in them. And I think that's really, really unfair.
Yeah.
Because, I've been self-employed since I was about 27, but before that I did have a job. And I don't think at the time I might have appreciated the owner of the company coming to me and sharing all their woes with me. So I understand that there's that
certain kind of person can handle it, but not everybody.
But not everybody. But not everybody can handle that. Exactly, and nor probably would they really want to hear it. Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to just have a job. And get your salary and go home and have a life.
Where would we be without it?
Well, where would we be? Absolutely. I think that's absolutely wonderful. But you're right, the loneliness. So if I'm talking to, so like you, we shared this, I think I shared it first actually, is that I don't have many friends, and it's for that reason that they tend to not understand the challenges. But just going back to, if I can, because I'll want to tie this up. So when I became a carer for my mum, James, it happened immediately. My mum already was living with dementia, but my mum had a near fatal accident. She was out socialising. She was with my brother. They were in a premises. My mum went to use the bathroom, and inside the ladies' bathroom there were stairs up to the cubicles, which she managed no problem. My mum was at the gym 4 or 5 times a week, hitting punch bags and jogging and lifting weights. Yeah. Even though she lived with dementia, she was really, really fit. And that's actually what saved her in the long run. But the lights went out, James, in the toilets. And my mum fell down the stairs.
Oh dear.
And the lights were still out when the paramedics got there. That was 5.5 hours later. Now, the reason that I'm sharing that with you is because my mum then was in hospital for 6 weeks, and I stepped away from my previous business and left all my clients behind, which was really, really hard for me. But it wasn't in another way. It was my decision to go and look after my mum.
So that's a toughie, and it's an easy decision because it's your parent, but it's a tough decision.
Oh, I loved my clients.
Exactly, because you're giving everything up.
Of course, but
and you're going into the unknown. You're jumping head first. I mean, think about jumping into business. Jumping into a scenario like that is really the unknown.
Exactly. I mean, I had a client at the time that when I met them, they'd had a stroke about 18 months before, and they were in a wheelchair. And I got them out the wheelchair after about 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
And they were walking about, and life was, I'd like to think, a little bit easier. So all of those kinds of stories and that support, because it is unusual in society, certainly in Scotland, to have proper rehabilitation, but that's a conversation for another day.
We might go there.
We might go there, we'll see. But so I left all that behind. And I was in the hospital with my mum from 8 a.m. until midnight. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is that I suppose that then started to have an impact on. I was in a long-term relationship at the time. We were living together. I had friends, family, and at the end of that 6 weeks, James, my long-term partner gave me an ultimatum. My friends and family sort of stepped away.
Don't want to know.
Exactly. And I found that it was really just my mum and I. So you're then sort of left thinking, God, what do I do? What do I do? And what prompted Bentley's to start, and for anybody that's listening to this is maybe a situation that they're in, because I was absolutely in it, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, absolutely overwhelmed. I had gone from having a mum who, yes, was living with dementia, but she was still getting 2 buses on a Sunday to go to church, right?
Yeah. She was fighting fit.
Absolutely.
Other than the dementia. She was fighting fit.
Absolutely. And so my mum's accident resulted in a broken pelvis, a broken hip, and a broken arm.
Oh dear.
Now, there is the recovery from a broken pelvis. In fact, a broken pelvis has a high incidence of death.
That's right.
And premature death.
That's right.
Regardless of age.
Yep.
Right? Regardless of age.
But it's much higher though, isn't it, at the older year?
Well, but it's regardless of age.
Really?
A broken
Right,
pelvis
okay.
is not...
I didn't know that.
It's not a good thing to have, right?
I didn't know that.
So...
Is that because of everything that's in there?
Absolutely.
And what it's damaging?
Exactly. So my mum was lying like that for 5.5 hours. Anyway, so the point is, my mum comes home in a wheelchair. My mum's in a ground floor flat, but it's 2 stairs up to the front door. Mm-hmm. Now, you might think, well, 2 stairs doesn't sound like much, but if you're in a wheelchair and you're trying to get somebody up 2 stairs, it doesn't matter if it's
22 stairs.
Absolutely. And there's no lift because it's outside the building.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed a ramp because it was a flat, so the OTs and all that couldn't put a permanent ramp. Mm-hmm. And if they were going to put a temporary ramp, I would have needed another person to be in my life to allow me to cart over the ramp, put the ramp down, then get my mum out the house, and then magically fold up the ramp. And I don't know where it was meant to go.
Sorry, I'm laughing, but I can just picture
please.
Who the hell thinks of this stuff?
But the thing is, I want you guys to laugh on hearing this, because trust me, I did enough crying for all of us. So laugh away. But there was a day where... So inside my mum's building, there was obviously stairs up to the other flats. So because I'm a rehab specialist, the day that my mum came home from hospital, I had her at our gym that night. I had her at David Lloyd's, starting to exercise. And inside the building, I would get my mum to start just stepping up onto one step and stepping down and stepping up.
Just to get the muscles going.
Till eventually I could get her out the building, get her down the stairs. Anyway, this particular day, and this is the crux of how Bentley's came about. On this day, James, again, my mind isn't concentrating. I'm just in overdrive. I'm sort of caught in the headlights.
A million things going through your brain all at the one time.
Exactly. All these relationships had ended. I was totally feeling alone. My mum's in a wheelchair. I can't get her out the house. But we've got to go shopping. So I get her down the stairs, the wheelchair, into the car, get my mum into the car, up to the shops. And I just wasn't thinking. And I bought enough shopping for 4 carrier bags. And I got to the car and I thought, that was a real mistake. I haven't really thought that through. So you've got to imagine, we've got to get the 4 bags into the car, I've got my mum out of her wheelchair, into the car, get the wheelchair folded up, get that into the car, get home, and then the whole thing, you've got
all
to
over again.
All over again. But I've now got 4 bags of shopping. So my mum couldn't be left on her own in the house, James, because my mum had dementia and she was left traumatised by her accident and she wasn't talking, but she kept trying to get out of her wheelchair.
Right.
So I couldn't get my mum into the house and think about leaving her in her wheelchair to come back to the car for the shopping. And then I couldn't leave her outside in the wheelchair to take the shopping into the house because she might try and still get out the wheelchair. Yeah. So I'm pushing the wheelchair, I run back to the car, I pick up the 4 bags of shopping, I run past my mum in the wheelchair, I drop the 4 bags of shopping, I run back to the wheelchair, push the wheelchair past the 4 bags of shopping, I run back and then I just burst into tears and I thought something's got to change. And I had already been phoning round different care companies, could you come in and spend a bit of time with my mum? I didn't really want personal care for my mum. I was doing that. I wanted my mum to have another conversation, extra stimulus, something that I didn't. You know, I'm her daughter.
Yeah. And you're thinking about everything in the world. So you're stimulating conversations, not really that stimulating.
Cheers, James, that's kind.
But but how could it be?
No, of course.
Because you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Exactly. Right.
And the last thing you're thinking about is I better have a stimulating conversation
with my mum.
Aye.
You're spot on.
Sorry.
No, not at all. I'm just teasing. And so I'd phoned down these companies and I'm asking, would you have somebody that could come in and sit with my mum and maybe talk to her and explain the story? No, I'm really sorry. No, we don't do that. And then when I'd maybe speak to a company that said, yeah, we could do something like that. And I said, would you have a member of the company as well that could maybe go and get my shopping? Now, that wasn't to allow me to go and get into a spa or go and have a coffee.
Oh, well, that would have been nice.
Exactly, but that was to go and get a sleep. So then I decided, well, they said no to that. And you thought I was asking for, can I get their spare kidney or something? I mean, it was crazy. Then my other alternative was to hire individuals. So posts on Facebook, individuals apply, get my mum into the wheelchair, get her down the stairs, get her along to the local coffee shop, do a little interview. All that went on for weeks because there's quite a lot of people applied. And then what I discovered was that as individual carers, you don't have to be registered with any governing body. So you don't have to be registered with a care inspectorate.
Yeah.
So you're really hoping that even though that they've got a PVG, that they're a decent human being.
Yeah.
So eventually, so that's actually quite a long, laborious process. So I then did hire a couple of people. And me being me, as soon as I had met the person, I wasn't just going to wait to leave my mum with someone who's essentially a stranger. So it was usually about a 6-week process before I would actually leave the house. First day they'd be in the room with my mum, I would be in the room with my mum, and then I'd move to maybe the kitchen. And as the weeks went on, I'm in the bedroom, I'm watching a movie. Weeks go on, I maybe go walk around the block or I'll nip for a coffee. And then eventually, you know, my mum still seems to be intact, but
you're ready.
I'm ready to leave the house. And then I discovered that one person had been shouting at my mum and left my mum traumatised. So I had to politely escort them off the premises and ask them not to come back. And like I was saying to you earlier on, I am a problem solver, but I'm now going to use your word all the time now. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to say, isn't it, really?
It's not really. Once you realise what an entrepreneur is.
Of course it is.
And all an entrepreneur is someone who takes an idea or sees a challenge, creates a solution, and makes a business out of it. That's entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
And I'll bet you there's loads and loads of times, and this is obviously how your business has grown to where it is today. Even once you've created a solution, you're always thinking about how can you make it better.
Oh, absolutely.
How can you make it better? How can my customers and clients come to me where they never ever want to go anywhere else? I want to create an experience. Do you know what I mean? That's entrepreneur 101 for me.
I know exactly what you mean.
Aye.
And because of all of that, I didn't want families, James, in crisis going through what I had just gone through. I wanted to take all of those challenges away. I didn't want you having to interview people in coffee shops. I didn't want you breaking down crying because you've gone for the shopping.
Yeah.
I wanted your family to have someone who could come in and talk to your loved one and get them out the house and give you a break, or you could go back to being the daughter or the son or the niece or the neighbour. I wanted to solve all of those problems because, you know, I know this is 2026 now, but really the care world is needing a whole overhaul. But that's
massive.
a whole conversation.
You just need to look at our hospitals and realise we need a overhaul.
Well, I know my experience of spending 6 weeks in the hospital with my mum, but that's another conversation. But I really didn't want that for other people, James. So that's why really I felt Bentley's has to happen.
Yeah. It was a non-negotiable in your mind.
It was a non-negotiable.
And it gave you something to go for as well, didn't it?
And it gave
you that new impetus.
To put my mind to.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it began to be a really lonely life, you know, because it was my mum and I.
Yeah. That was your ought
that
to
was
be
my
all and
little
end all
world.
your world.
Yeah, it was my little world. And if I do feel extremely blessed that and my mum's still doing really, really well, considering. So I feel really blessed that I've got my mum. But I did want something else for me. Maybe I should have took up a hobby or something. I don't know, but start this business. So
What's a hobby? What's that?
Well, I hear of such things.
I mean, right. So I like my brain never switches off with work or business, right? I mean, I try to switch off. I go to the gym. I'm a big gym goer, right?
Yeah,
but we
same.
go to the gym. But I put it in during the day. Because I'm a really early riser, so I go up in the morning. Normally I've got a cup of herbal tea and my audiobook. So every morning I'm out for about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, come back, shower, breakfast, me and my wife, because we run the company together, breakfast, sit down, eat our breakfast, and I'm straight into the office. And that's me normally. So, and then we stop around, well, it used to be 11:30, but the gym's bloody mobbed in it at that time. So now it's 1 o'clock. So we stop at 1, we go to the gym, we're back 35, 40 minutes in the gym, back in the house for about 10 past 2, quarter past 2, and away we go. And that's us normally about 6:30 at night. And that's every bloody day.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Like, I thought, how could I go to the gym at night? Like, 'cause I'm so busy. So I thought the only way it's going to happen is if I put it in by the way, my diary's blocked, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not on a Thursday, but it's Thursday today though. So I always take one day off a week, because I train Saturday and Sunday as well. So I always have a one day off in between. And that's my, I say chill day, but it just means I work there.
Yeah.
Anyway, the reason we're going to that, I was going to that, right, is it is difficult being a business owner. It's not an easy thing. And I think if people listening, when you start to grow your business, and this is where I'm going to go with the conversation next. So when you start to grow, and as I said, you get by the first or 2 or 3 employees and you've got maybe 5 or 6, then you're starting to think, okay, I need help here. Right, I need other people to be leaders. I need other people to help me manage this business. Now, I know you're in that situation now, where when did you realise I really need to train my staff? Other than the caring side, when did you think yourself, right, as a good leader, right, I need to be training my staff? I need support. What did that feel like?
Well, that's a really, really good question. So in the care world, carers are really looked down on, and they don't get much chance to show what I would think is sort of common sense. So let me just expand on that. I am sure so I don't take on any beginners. So everybody that comes to work at Bentley's has to have worked in care for years.
Yep.
They have to have their own car, they've got to be registered with a SSC, yada, 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 right? So we're not taking on anybody that's not been involved in care, because I want them to get right into supporting our clients.
Hitting the ground running.
Absolutely. But it became apparent, James, on things like, I would get a phone call and say, Val, so-and-so isn't feeling very well today. I think you're needing to phone the doctor. I say, well, so initially, the first couple of times I did phone the doctor, and I went, well, hold on a minute here. Why are they not phoning the doctor? So speak to the staff.
Accountability.
Exactly. Yeah. Why are you guys not phoning the doctor? Oh, we've never been allowed to do that before. And you could just see they were sort of caught in the headlights. What, me phone the doctor? Well, I can't phone the doctor. I said, well, have you ever phoned the doctor for yourself in like the last 40 years, and maybe your family and your husband? And so you're really capable of phoning the doctor. I absolutely trust you. And the thing about Bentley's, James, is I don't want to have massive management structures. I don't really think that somebody that's been in a job for 30 years really needs a supervisor.
No.
And
they just need accountability,
absolutely, and
the responsibility.
Absolutely.
That's it.
But the environment that's acceptable, and the environment that making mistakes is okay.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is music to my ears.
As long as we've got... and it's how you handle that. So a mistake happens. Okay, how did that happen? Well, let's put something in place so that if the mistake does happen again, we've got a procedure in place. Because I'm never going to have AI as in robots in my business. It's always going to be humans. So we're always going to make mistakes.
Human-centric.
So I quite like mistakes, because you grow from mistakes.
That's how
right?
you learn.
Absolutely.
Well, anyway, that's how our brains work. I'll get into that in a minute, but that's how our brains actually work.
Well, of course.
Mistakes is information, it's feedback to say
exactly.
that didn't work, this is a problem, this is how we need to overcome it, and this is why it won't happen again.
Absolutely.
And that's feedback.
Exactly. But the thing is though, mistakes, usually that causes a negative feeling, that sets off the nervous system, but that's a whole other conversation. But setting off the nervous system, and I have no interest in making my staff feel bad. I'm not interested in punishing somebody. That's psychotic, that's crazy. Right? So I started saying to the staff, well, let's work on how you could phone the doctor, because you're actually in with the client, you get to know them, they know you better than they know me, you can have that conversation with the doctor. Now, that might not sound like much, but see, encouraging the staff to do that and letting them know that they're never going to be accountable to a supervisor who they might not respect, who's got less years in care than they do, etc., etc. Just getting a chance to level up. I want to hear what they've got to say, James.
Absolutely.
How on earth can I tell a carer of 30 years or 20 years how to care? That's not my skill set. They're my experts.
Yep.
So I trust them.
Let them expert.
Exactly. Right. Let them phone the doctor. So I started to build in.
That's great leadership, by the way.
Thank you.
That is great leadership. And we'll get to that later as well.
So I wanted to build that. I wanted to get that into the team. So that we started to build that into the team. And then it was, you start to maybe hear things, or so-and-so isn't happy about a shift or something, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, I've said the word shift. We actually don't use those terminologies at Bentley's. It sort of totally rules out the clients, but just probably for simplicity. So I would hear that somebody had a grievance. So I would just go right to them and say, come on in, we'll have a chat. I've heard from your colleagues that you're saying this, and it's absolutely natural to have a download and complain and have a moan, right? But if the moaning goes on too long and you're not thinking about a solution and all you're wanting is a moan, well, that can start to create a negative culture in an environment. Yep. And I don't want that. I want people to jump out their bed in the morning really happy to come and work at Bentley's because they enjoy the opportunity.
And if they're not happy, come and tell me.
Absolutely.
Let's see how we can fix it.
That would be crazy to not listen, right? And that's just...
Because if they leave, you've got to go and go through that whole hiring process again.
And the thing is, I really don't think that they're going to get a better environment anyplace else. So let's fix this together. I want you to help me to create this culture. We're a business in its infancy.
Yeah.
But we've got plans. So help me create the culture. How would you like to see this? But you've got to take some ownership of this moaning that you're doing, and let's find a solution. Yep. So we started to do that. So if you're coming to me if you've got a problem, get it off your chest with your colleagues, perfectly normal. Then you come and have a chat with me. But before you come and have a chat with me, just think yourself how you would like that solved.
Yes, love it. Love it.
So come to me with the issue, and then say, but what I've been thinking is A, B, and C.
This is how we can overcome it.
Exactly. Now, if that isn't right for the business, but what it's done, it started a conversation.
Absolutely.
And then you get a compromise. And then I maybe say, well, if I was to agree to what your suggestion, here's how it would impact Bentley's. And then,
however, we could probably do this.
Exactly. Because as I'm saying this to you, I'm actually reliving a conversation in my head, and that's actually how it went. Well, I didn't realise I didn't realise any about that about the business. And I'm saying, well, no, you wouldn't. But this is why I'm sharing. Mm-hmm. And long story short, we came to a compromise, right? So because of all of that, so in Dundee College, James had got some funding. So long story short, Bentley's applied for the funding, and myself and Dundee College went through an application. We got awarded some funding. They've introduced me to a coach, and now my team are in the middle of a leadership course.
Brilliant.
I'm over the moon because they know that I don't want to have supervisors. So if you were ever to come into Bentley's office, my care manager, God love her, she got everybody's photographs and put them all in lovely frames. And then she was saying to me one day, so here's how so on the wall it's got meet the team. And she says, so you'll be at the top. And I went, oh, no. That's not how this company works.
Yeah.
No. I am one of the team, and I certainly don't have all the answers, so I'm not going to be... No.
Yeah, love it.
What we're going to have is we're going to have random faces on the wall because we are all a team.
Yeah.
And that's, until I am proven wrong, that is going to remain the structure at Bentley's, is that there's nobody telling anybody what to be doing. We're all working
You're there
together.
to guide them.
Absolutely.
Your role is a guiding.
Let me take the headaches.
Yeah.
Let me solve the bigger issues, but give you an
Let me
environment.
share certain amount of information, but don't
Absolutely.
overshare.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let me give you an environment that when you got into care, whether it was 10 years ago and 20 years ago, because they've obviously got a heart that they've wanted to care, let me try and create the environment for you that you just know that you get to care and you're not having to leave the care industry. What's happened with lots of amazing carers, that they've had to leave the care industry because of, low pay and bad management and terrible working environment.
Going from one job to another job
Exactly.
and what, in a matter of hours because they've only got 15 minutes to speak to a customer client.
Exactly.
By the way, I've got a friend that used to be in the industry.
Right.
OMG.
Exactly.
But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, and we don't do any of that. But they've gone and got jobs elsewhere. So, and now lucky for the other employers that have got these beautiful, hearted, spirited women or men that have come to work for them because they've left the care industry, but then it's left a massive gap in the care industry. Yeah. So I want Bentley's to be this place where, the staff can relax.
They get to do what they love.
Well, exactly. They get to do what they love, right? And I am all about the nervous system. I am an exercise physiologist at heart. So, and that's a precursor to many diseases, but that's a whole other issue. So if I firmly believe that, in my bones, why would I want to create an environment that I've got my staff a bit jumpy? That's something's not quite right with that leadership, So I want to be surrounded with people that are better than me. Please come and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And if I can afford you, can I get you to work here and make it even better for the staff and my clients and my families? And they get a chance to go back to being families. My clients are getting a chance to live a life that's great. So all my staff have to have cars, James, and they've got to have business insurance to work at Bentley's. Yep. So why? Because we take our clients out. Yeah. Get them out to the coffee shops. Yeah. And that's we've got social interactions, and taking them out for lunches and making sure that an older adult is eating the right amount of calories. Yep. Older adults don't eat enough. Yeah, that's right. We've then got some muscle wastage, disease, urine infection sets in, and then that increases their chance of falls and all this kind of stuff. So we're trying to stave all that off at Bentley's. So I want to have the environment where, as I say, staff are happy, my clients and my family are happy. I want to find people that are better than me that can come in and sort of take Bentley's to where I'm sure it can go.
You're the visionary. And you want people to come in and see that vision.
Exactly.
So I've got two questions before we wrap up. First one, what is the vision for Bentley's? What does it look like 5 to 10 years from now? What do you want to have happen?
Okay, so, well, thank you. That's a really, really good question. So I can get to speak about my business plan that lives inside my head. Well, in 5 to 10 years, in 5 years, I would want Bentley's to be certainly around Scotland. We're only in Dundee just now in Angus. I'm just about to apply to be in Perth and Kinross and Fife.
Brilliant.
I've got systems getting put place just now at the back end, which will allow us to be even freer at the front end. And I then want to then pick up that model and take it to other cities in Scotland.
Because once you've cracked the model, it's like a blueprint.
Well, exactly. I want Bentley's to be in Glasgow and Edinburgh and Aberdeen and places in between. I really believe strongly in what it is that we're trying to do. I don't think getting older is a disease. We are getting older. And I just really want older people to be better looked after, but to have families freed up from the stress. So in 5 years, definitely be in other cities in Scotland. In 10 years, I don't see why we can't be in the whole of the UK. I do talk
and not just growing, being great at what you do. So being known for being, we're not just a care company.
No.
We actually give a shit.
Yeah,
we actually put the care in care.
Absolutely. Oh, you're allowed to say shit.
Oh, you can say shit.
Definitely.
You can swear.
Oh, can you? Well, now you tell me. Right. So, no. Personally, I have a phrase about that I just have a high level of give a shitness.
Yes.
That's actually a catchphrase of mine.
Right.
And Bentley's has a, maybe wouldn't want to promote that, obviously.
High level of give a shitness. But you could put that in better words.
We have a high...
We put the care in care.
Exactly. Yeah, we have all of that. But Valerie, if Valerie's been Valerie has a high level of give a shitness.
Yeah, love it.
And that's what we're wanting. So we're looking at bringing on all kinds of things. I've also got a community interest company, Gymology, and I'm trying to get a gym opened to start off in Dundee for people that live with complex chronic conditions. And that's really all really tied together if you think about it. But for me, there's no reason why Bentley's also, I think about Bentley's being in Spain. There's older adults in Spain.
Yeah,
there's older adults in, and I'm actually looking at Bentley's being in Dubai. We've got...
I used to live there 12 years.
Right, well... I love Dubai. Been there a few times. Got a contact there now, and they're looking at increasing their population by double. I think it is by something like 2035, something like that.
There, it's just all private hospitals. There isn't any kind of
exactly,
thing like that.
Exactly, and so. That might mean then, well, no, it's not might mean, it's going to mean that people from other countries are either going to be going to live there or work there, and they're going to have residency there.
Yeah.
Well, somewhere in there's going to be adults that are needing some support.
Yeah. Maybe people have brought their parents over.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so I do think about Bentley's being in Dubai.
Yeah, I love it.
But the reason I was talking about the gym, that's another Billy Connolly moment. It's about, because I want to start to bring exercise and rehab into Bentley's, where we can maybe use technology to keep families really involved with their older adults. So there's lots to come. But it's all about getting the basics right, and just now we have happy families, we have happy clients,
happy employees.
Absolutely, happy employees. And that's all I want to focus on. That's all I want to focus on.
Love it. All right, last question before we go to a final part.
Okay.
Is what is leadership to you? What does leadership mean to you?
Leadership to me is no excuses.
Success or excuses?
Oh God!
Success or excuses?
You know what? I never even noticed that. That's actually really funny. I never even noticed that.
Success or excuses?
I
wrote a book about it, by the way.
Right. Well, there we go. Well, that's bizarre. Well, to me, it is no excuses.
Yeah.
So I suppose the best example that I could give is, we all know people that, I don't know, they might cancel an appointment at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because at 8 o'clock in the morning they stubbed their toe, or the washing machine leaked or something, right? Now that is horrendous. That's absolutely horrendous. Not the stubbing of the toe, but the washing machine thing's that's really horrendous, not great. But you've got to be able to manage those things in life. And really, the person that you were meeting at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, they've already probably had a day where they've stubbed the toe, the cat's ran away, they've ran out of milk, they had a flat tyre. And they've managed to deal with all of those things, and they're still turning up.
Yep.
And I think that when you quit at the first hurdle for the rest of your day, that's a problem. And to me, that is a lack of leadership. But it's also a lack of, to me, it's a bit of a lack of commitment to yourself.
Yes.
It's a bit of a lack of integrity. You've said you're going to be somewhere.
Bloody be there.
Well, exactly.
Because if you were in an office and your wash machine packed in on it, you'd still need to go to the office and you just need to do your shift and then come back and then deal with it.
Well, you would, or I don't know, I know that people phone in sick because, I'm around people, not necessarily in my immediate circle, but, over the years, maybe that's why about the friends thing.
We don't have any phone in sick, by the way, weirdly enough.
Yeah,
we don't have any staff.
Yeah, we don't either, actually.
No, me never. Our staff work from home.
Right.
So they can go to the gym and go and wash, and you can fix their washing machine. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
As long as they're
That's it. And
performing.
well, of course, right, exactly. And my staff are obviously in different positions, but I don't have that issue at all either. But yeah, so if someone's making excuses and the slightest excuse sort of not only interrupts their day, but then it's impacting on their word to other people that they were going to be doing something or being somewhere, I have a problem with that.
So that's your a leader is to create that environment where no excuses. We don't have an excuse environment. We do what we're going to say, and as a leader, I'm going to live and breathe it. Is basically kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, 3 questions.
Come on then.
So, ask all my guests, what's their top 3 pieces of advice in business and in life? So somebody listening, maybe a youngster or somebody that's been in your similar situation or whatever. What's your top 3 pieces of advice?
Just start. If you've got a business idea and everybody's laughing at you, your friends, your family, and everybody's laughing at you, the best advice I remember getting from my dad. So I was, I don't know, maybe about 10, 11, 12, 13. I was always wanting to do karate, and none of my friends wanted to do karate. And unbeknown to me, by the time I was 14, my dad had went and found my karate coach, and he was just getting ready to tell me that he'd found my karate coach. But I remember my dad saying to me, well, I think if you want to do karate, are you not better talking to somebody that does karate? Now, when you're 10, you're maybe not really appreciating that.
Yes.
But this is also a man that taught me to keep my own counsel. By the when I was 8, didn't have a clue, did by the time I was 16. And the reason that I'm sharing that is that if you're talking, with no disrespect, but if you're talking to someone about a business who's not in business, they're not the people to be talking to. So if you have an idea, please reach out to someone who's got a business.
Because they'll be honest.
Because they'll
tell you it's going to be hard.
Exactly.
But it'll never happen if you don't actually do something about it.
Exactly. And I would absolutely say take some action.
Yep.
So that would be my first my first bit.
There.
Absolutely. Yep. My first bit of advice. And if it fails, then great. You go, well, that approach didn't work.
Yeah.
The next bit, everything.
By the way, I've failed in business more than I've been successful.
But isn't it wonderful?
Like I actually think about the expense of mistakes as well in that journey.
I know.
But I'll still be able to cut the other end, think, tick, that'll not happen again, tick, that'll not happen again.
I know. Because
right, number 2 piece of advice,
right,
go.
So my number 2 piece of advice would be, I know this sounds really boring, but I would say find a really, really good accountant, right?
Tick, agreed.
Right, a really good accountant.
Because it's hard.
Well, it's only taken me 25 years to find one, so please, do better than I did.
Take action, good accountant.
Yeah, and my third piece of advice would be a little bit of self-care. Take a minute. This world goes by in such a flash, such a flurry. And I would say, whatever you're doing, take a minute and just think, if I don't do this thing that is burning inside me to do, and I don't go and do it, I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. So take a minute for yourself. That would be my third piece of advice.
I love it. Listen, we're right at the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. But before we go,
there's more.
How do people get in contact with you? So if somebody's listening to this or they want to find out about you, how do people get in contact with you? Obviously LinkedIn, because that's how we
right.
connected.
So yes, I'm on LinkedIn, but if you're not business related, then you wouldn't find me on LinkedIn. Facebook.
Yep.
So there's Bentley's Home Care. Bentley's as in the car.
Yep.
That's why it's called Bentley's.
Yeah. Love it.
So Bentley's Home Care is
top of the range.
Absolutely. Good service. Yada yada. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Bentley's Home Care, and my name's Valerie Duguid, and I'm also on Facebook, so you can find me that way.
Brilliant, Valerie. All this details will be in the podcast when it goes live as well, so they'll all be listed at the bottom of the podcast list. Thank you so much for coming along. I knew I would enjoy it anyway. Thoroughly enjoyed it, Val, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Come here.
Thank you.